Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to talk about how to run the 4-cable method with the Kemper. The 4-cable method is how I run my big pedalboard into my Kemper in stereo. This basically allows me to have my compressor and any effects that I want before. Normally my compressor, octave effect and drives before the amp, so going into the front. And then I have all my wet effects, so modulation, delays, reverbs, anything in between in the stereo effects loop. So for this method you will obviously need your pedal board or whatever effects that you want to run in the effects loop. Now the effects loop can be mono or stereo. Today I'm going to show you how to hook up a stereo effects loop because that's just personally how I use it. So you will need 4 guitar cables. I have made this one into a snake with some tech flex. And basically I have got an end for my pedal board and an end for the Kemper. What I have on my pedal board, which will pop up at the side here, is a junction box by NRG Effects called the Linker. Now you can get one from Neil directly, or you can, wherever you're at, I'm sure there is a pedal maker near you that makes a utility box like this. This basically allows you to leave your pedal board wired up all the time, whether you want to run mono out of the end of your board, stereo at the end of your board, use it with it or without an effects loop, and just permanently leave it wired in, and it basically links the outputs together depending on what's plugged in or what's not plugged in. So as you'll see just now, we take the pre from the pedal board, put it into the input of the Kemper. We take the send out from the Kemper into the board, into the post, the interface, which then feeds the power amp signal into the board. We are then taking the left and rights out from the board and taking it into the return input and the alternative input in the back of the Kemper. This allows us to engage the stereo effects loop and have sound pass through the guitar, board and through the Kemper when the stereo effect loop is on. Now these cables need to be plugged in. They need to be plugged in correctly. Your wiring needs to be right for you to get sound out from your Kemper when you have the stereo effects loop engaged. So for placing the stereo effects loop in your Kemper, I normally have it in the X block. It's just where I've always put it. It then allows me, if I want to use any of the other Kemper effects with my board, I've got that option to run them after as if it was another reverb pedal at the end of my chain. Now for the mix control, personally I always have it set at 100% because my mix of my effects, I want it to be determined by the effects on the board. So if it's my delay, whether it's my reverb, whether that's something in my HX Stomp, or if that, in this case, it's the mood, it then allows me to set the mix control from them instead of having a 50% blend in my effects loop and then running these fully wet. Some people run their stereo effects loop effects fully wet and then determine the mix from the effects loop itself in the Kemper control. But for me, I just always run it 100% mix on the stereo effects loop in the Kemper and then determine my mix because I want different reverbs or different delays to be more present in the mix, be less present in the mix. I want those decided by the pedals themselves. So just now I'll give you a couple sound examples of the Kemper with the stereo effects loop. I will bring in some effects just so you can hear the breadth. Now I do recommend that you wear earphones or headphones when listening to this for this specific part so you can actually hear the stereo image. Now again, some people would say that the Kemper is not a true stereo image because you've not got a left amp and a right amp, but for me this gives me the best of both worlds. I get the Kemper at its best, the amp tone, and I get the effects that I'm used to using prior to when I got the Kemper, like my timeline, my big sky, and I can now use those effectively with my Kemper to give me best of both worlds. Let's give it a listen. So I hope that clears up how to run the stereo effects loop with a 4 cable method on the Kemper. Now obviously this can be applied to a mono effects loop. You just need to obviously take a mono signal out from your board back into the return input of the Kemper and obviously have a mono block engaged on your Kemper effects. So like always guys, if you've got any more Kemper questions, any more pedal board questions, please leave a comment down below, or you can get me over on my Instagram. My handle will appear somewhere here. And like always, thank you so much for watching to the end. It means the absolute world to me if you would like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with a fellow Kemper user, share it with a friend who is maybe confused about the 4 cable method. And if there's any other questions that I haven't answered in this video, fire them down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.